Welcome, everyone. It's January the 11th. Welcome to you from Traders Community. I've got Mega Johnny here, Madavi and myself from NovaWave, and we're going to talk through what was we were pretty chuffed when it actually goes right. So, pretty well, Fed President Powell went as expected, much as I was saying yesterday. I thought much to do with he wanted to test the market on one hand, but also really to establish himself to both sides of the Senate as he did his hearing today. We saw the market yesterday rebound nicely, and we saw more of that today, and it caught two legs today. One, after Powell was very contrite, measured, and matter of fact about his answers to do with inflation, the supply chain, and how that was a supply issue. And he made the point that the Fed can't do anything about supply. When he was asked about had they misspoken or misread the whole situation, he said, yes, we're surprised supply took this long, and certain aspects of demand picked up. He also made the point that a snowflake doesn't make a storm, or words to those effect. Much of the, as far as the inquiry, much of it was about, was along partisan lines in some regards. There was questions about inflation. Much of the Democrat questions seemed to be about climate change, fair employment, and things like that, to do with the different minority groups. There was questions about banking and a lot from from actually both sides. But overall, there wasn't a lot of fireworks. We then had a bond auction come out, which was pretty well received. I believe it was a 3-year today. And we have the 10-year tomorrow. That could be a bit more action. The higher yields did attract. It was the high yield was 123.70. Which was for 52 billion 3-year. Tomorrow we've got a 36 10-year. As far as rates went today, they started off nervous. Actually, pre-market, the market was higher, got sold off ahead of the Fed. We saw the 2-year back down from a high of 190 from 94 and settled at 90. Remember, this is the one that is best representative of what the Fed funds are going to be, the Fed rate. The 3-year was down 2 basis points to 118. The 5-year, if you recall, hit a fresh 2-year high right at the start at 155.80, and that actually came down minus 3 basis points to 151. Quite a good move. 10-year yield drifted lower by 3 basis points to 175. I think that was 181, wasn't it, yesterday, Madavi? But 180 is a big level. The 30-year was down 4 basis points to 207. So the bit that was actually bullish for the market was when the Republicans were all about basically not giving out free money, or a couple of whoever, I can't remember the names, but I'm pretty sure that was it. His answer was, look, we can't just stop it all on a dime as far as the QE reverting to QT, i.e. quantitative easing versus tightening. Someone was asking me what that stood for. That's not because it's cute. And so they're not going to do it the drop of a hat. He made the point, if we do it too quickly, then it all comes, to hell in a handbasket as far as jobs go. And then that fits in too with both arguments, both sides of the house, keeping jobs not only for the economy, but also distributed through those that are disadvantaged. Across different races, minorities, people that lost their jobs, technological changes. And he did make a good point, actually, that economics and economies are dynamic. So as there's new changes, new businesses starting up all the time, there's other ones being wound down or because of changes, technological changes. And it's shocking that Wall Street and the entitled group, and I'll put in these politicians with them, need to be reminded that there's been 2 massive pandemic episodes. They seem to be ongoing, the latest Omicron. So that's basically that. The market went up as a result. Much of it we can pretty well garner with short covering, as we saw the absolute pullback of volatility. The VIX has come quite much, and we'll look at that chart over. So that's pretty well the summary of the day. Stocks we talked about, it pretty well comes down to energy was a beast again. Very strong effort by energy. We're on air, Johnny. Very strong energy move. Johnny, jump out of your metaverse and into the real world there.
Sorry, guys.
So we had 8 of the sectors close higher. Energy was the strongest. A truckload of 52-week highs. Devon again, Exxon, ConocoPhillips, just to name a few. Utilities were down, real estate was down, consumer staples were down. They were the safe haven buys yesterday. And gold actually had talking about safe havens, gold was up nearly $20. As the US dollar got trunched with those yields coming off after Powell. The Russell had another good day. Actually, all of Johnny's favourite, all the ARCs seemed to come they pulled it off there unbeached today. So they were all up pretty good, all around 2%. ARC F was up 4%. ARC W was up 3%. They were the standouts. ARC G was up 2.5%. Obviously, they're still well down, but actually stopping falling is probably something welcome from shareholders there, right? So there we have it. Let's go through the charts real quickly. On the S&P 500, of note, on the weekly, we have bounced back in. We have this red spug here. We're back into the over 3.8. So we're in overbought territory, but on a weekly, it takes a long time to recalculate. So bear that in mind. If we go to the daily, you can see we actually closed over the Tenkan. The green, remember we had that spit yesterday, very powerful, we mentioned. And back over the cloud, but the spit over the channel, the spit of the 7/8 confluence channel, and over the Cajun yesterday. Now we're over the Tenkan. If we hold on to this is a very powerful move. And we saw some positive divergence here. You see the increased volume on the higher one. So it was actually fed quite well there. On the 60 minutes, let's widen this up for you, eh? That's my Canadian for you. I think I was practicing Canadian with someone today. Anyway, we came down, we tested the Cajun twice. Look at this, up and down. This was while, this is pre-market, this is while the hearing's going on. We got above the 50, we retested it, and we pretty well went up all day. We had a little bit of hiccups here off the previous high. I would say that's profit-taking optionality. Remember, VIX collapsed. So there's a lot of people would have felt that pain there, and a lot of calls that were sold here at the higher vol that would have brought this back around the 4,700 line, big line as far as that goes. On calls, puts were down here, calls up there. I saw a bit of misinformation being spread earlier across the internet on relevance. We have closed right at this high. Look at this, 47.14 across the board, plus 3.8. Above here again, we'll see if this recalculates. Let's go real quickly to Johnny's favourite, the Russell. So Russell on the daily is just a chop mess. Look at all that. And that's been systematic of it. But you can see where it's closed. Again, if you compare this to the S&P, S&P's over the daily, Cajun and Tenkan. This is well underneath it. Is it? So if this market's really short, this genre, not just in short of them, but if there's people that have emboldened enough to bottom fish, this could get more of a test of these levels here. If we look at the hourly, you can see it more pronounced there. Back over here, got nicely through some classic moves here. We got an attempt of a kiss of life, but it didn't happen. but it still started off pretty strong. It ran into this resistance over here, 220.96. So above here, again, there's potentially a lot of work if it can get what we just saw above the daily. So we would need this. We saw this rebalance on the Chico. If this can hold up, then there's a good solid chance here, given what Powell said. As far as the Nasdaq goes, on the 60 minutes, this is Madavi's favourite. This one, if you remember, he caught a pretty strong buy here. Yesterday, he was a bit messy, but it did come down nicely today, Madavi, just before Powell. See that? And
Yeah. I mean, like today, basically, yesterday I got roughed up a little bit, so I just basically held strong and went back trading stocks.
At least you're honest, mate.
About what I get into, especially, you want to get back, you want to develop good habits after you get beat up and get a good green day and then bounce off from there.
Yeah, so, important,
Yeah. So, especially when you don't understand the markets, going everywhere, up, back, people's calling for disaster. I still think, we'll have a nice correction in the next couple months, but you don't know when that's going to be. And if you stake everything you got on it and you're wrong, you're probably out of the game. So that's why I trade. This is a trader's market, and that's what I'm here for. I trade, then, sometimes take a day to reflect things and slow down. It's not a bad thing. Otherwise, it could get worse.
Yeah, I 100% recommend that, and well put, my friend.
First thing you do, you cut out the bleeding, get back in good habits, and strike the iron. And I got a good Biogen trade this morning. I did a short.
This afternoon, you mean?
I've been buying the what do you call it? DKNG. What is it?
That's DraftKings. Yeah, that was one of my big shorts last year. But as you said, it's come all the way down here, and And
especially the news going in New York with the gambling and stuff, and that is just huge. The numbers that just came out. It was really encouraging. I mean, they shut down the system. So look at some of those gaming stocks to maybe get a little bounce here because of all the new gambling that people are able to do on their cell phones. California, we're still having problems to get that rolled in. So who knows when that'll happen? They got the Indian tribes and they're fighting for, and the casinos. Whoever's going to get a control of that will be a big winner. So I would be a lookout for that if that ever happens. Not sure when. So just be in touch with it and know what's going to happen. And so you can find a rough, a jewel that's been beat up. And that's what I've been looking at. So maybe get a little position on these things, see how far they'll ride out. And
what's the other one in that space? Is it Penn? Is that the other one? Penn, right?
There's Penn's, DraftKings, and there's Caesars has been big in these.
Good point. The casinos, yeah.
So a lot of these casinos have been getting into it. If you look at the numbers, the tax revenues New York is going to get from these gaming stocks, they would have a surplus if there weren't so much corruption, just like any other these with big budgets, and they always need more money. I'm like, damn, and you wonder why all the politicians are so rich there. And they always need
Well, when I was watching that hearing today, and I was watching some of those people, I'm just like, if that's the inspiration.
Just like California and New York, they got a lot of rich Democrats, but they represent the poor supposedly. I don't know how they could reflect with each other, but who knows? Because I don't see none of these Democrats in these states missing any meals. So I don't know how they could represent the poor and the.
The day I understand politics in America is probably when I'm dead and buried. So
so I don't know.
But just on that, so, and I noticed you mentioned online. So yesterday, Take-Two, if you remember, bought Zynga. And it got whacked on that. But the main reason Take-Two did that, they wanted to get into mobile. Now, I know it's gaming and not gambling, but I noticed Take-Two bounced pretty strongly today. It got actually recovered up $5.40 at the close, but it was about $1 higher. So up nearly 4% today. I wonder if I mean, I can't say. I just wonder if this Zynga has any capabilities again in the gambling space, or do they not mix gaming with gambling? I mean, would that be a big faux pas? Or?
With these gaming stocks and everything, they actually all got a hand in gambling stuff because they're coins and everything you're buying. There's certain stuff you can do through these games. It's not gambling, but there's product sales, and there's like people could exchange their equipment for more. So there's
it's the metaverse. It's the online hustle.
Better.
Yeah, no, it's like you can go into the metaverse and you can sell your NFTs. As a matter of fact, last night I was mentioning to Mate earlier, I have a friend that worked for Disney. He's a really awesome artist, and all of a sudden he starts getting a lot of calls from different guys he hasn't heard from for a while. And I want him to start listening to this thing about NFTs. And so he called me and asked me, hey, tell me a little bit about it. So we sat down and went through some stuff. And last night I set him up on Nifty. So it's a marketplace where you can go on. I don't know if you guys have looked at it, either one of you, but it's one of those things. But getting to your point, it's you can go out to the metaverse. You can play to earn in these games. You can use your NFTs to style yourself out, or use weapons that you've created or somebody else has and you bought. So it's a way for commerce in an extended type of game playing atmosphere. And there's going to be different levels to that. There may be not so much games in some metaverses. There's going to be social ones, and then action ones and things like that. But it's just very interesting that adoption of it's happening because of gaming and because of that gambling aspect of people can go and make money. And people gamble because they like the thrill of not just winning but losing. As a matter of fact,
if we do get a recession or joblessness, people tend to gamble more.
Well, and I'll tell you what.
That's true. Unfortunately, I remember when in a recession, the largest proportion of people that can't afford it is not cigarettes anymore, but it used to be, but alcohol, gambling, stuff like that. You're 100% right. Bit of an indictment.
Axie Infinity. You guys, if you've heard of Axie Infinity, it's a metaverse, and because of the lockdown, it became a major way for the Philippines for people to make money and sustain life, which they can buy groceries. That's pretty amazing that whole marketplace helped to their economy because of that.
This is in where, the Philippines?
In the Philippines, yeah, you can look it up. Axie Infinity. That actually helped that become one of the most popular forefront gaming / metaverse it earns with an NFT in it, and it's very, very primitive. It's almost like what are those the Pokemon? It's like those kind of characters.
Pokemon Go.
So it's nothing near race cars and skyscrapers and hot cyber chicks. Just kidding.
Yeah. Hey, it's probably a new system over there, because over there that Duarte guy will kill you for any drug dealing, right? They probably wouldn't move it all there.
Well, that's true. Okay, well, let's move on to other stocks then. But thanks, but yeah. On those gambling stuff, I don't know too much about them. I Donkey King, I was happy to be short that, as you know, earlier, but it's wow. I can't believe we actually did that well on that, looking at it. But doesn't surprise. What surprised me was it took so long to fall. Anyway, let's look at Apple real quick.
Look at Biogen too. That's a good stock for people to keep an eye on because the medical insurance and everything. You see how news can affect.
Definitely. We'll look at that. We'll go through these tech ones and then.
You would think Biogen, with again FDA approval of this first Alzheimer's drug, would be a $1,000 stock. But look what happens when the insurance is going to be limiting the amount of people that can get. They put it as experimental. So I don't know. There's going to be few people that are going to be able to get approval of that $28,000 a month treatment or something.
Yeah, so that's another risk that you got to take into account when you invest in some of these stocks like that are healthcare and biotech. So there's the FDA approvals and things like that you wouldn't even, but there's also the insurance approvals. There's multiple risks, which is why they're so volatile, of course. So let's look at Apple real quick. So Apple didn't quite, ideally I would have liked to have seen it hit this tanking on the weekly. That would be just perfect for this bounce. But you can see potentially this is a ABC that can take this up dramatically higher if the market gets all bulled up. Then so let's look quickly at ARKW. We got a green. Remember we hit the 61.8%, so it became a solid buy yesterday. It continued with that. So basically, it's hard to get bearish this unless it gives you a good sell signal, which is what you set up, unless it breaks under this. If that happens, it's down the bottom of the channel. ARKG, I know that's a bit of a walking disaster, this thing. I wonder, does this hold own any Biogen, I wonder, Johnny? So is that one of their things? But look at that big ABC. That's a bit of a mess too. Let me... what would help here? So you see that right there, right? So there we go. But you can see the perfect 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, this is much weaker. So this, what a lot of this is doing is correcting this correction. It's too early to call big bounces just because you had one good day, right? Okay, let's look at volatility, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Look at this chart, guys. So there we see it coming all the way down here, right off the 50. But this was 2050 to 18 on the VXX in one session. That gives you an idea. You got to be very careful when you hedge. What's going on there? If we look at Amazon, this is a weekly chart. We're going real long so you can see the significance of it. So this is a double bounce here, moving up. Chips, I just want to look at the 60 there, because and we're going to look at the video with it, but look at that double bottom yesterday, right? On the hourly, we plowed through and we ran into trouble at the Cajun. So it needs to get through this to keep going, which would put it up way up here. Meanwhile, just count out your ABCs. You're in a very strict Murray. NVIDIA actually was the beast out of SMH. See how that kept going through there? Let's see if that leads that tomorrow. The tilt, as we know, yields go back today, which means bonds higher. And so we had a nice move up here. And we're resting in the cloud. So you can see there's a lot of transition points right here. And finally here we have XLE, which was the big star today. That's your energy. And look at that. Burst through this today and just kept going. This is a daily. It burst through that 5 days ago. And that's a good change there. You can see we're getting up to 8.8. So we're getting into overbought territory pretty soon here. So yeah, so Bitcoin here, as Johnny was just actually saying earlier, that was a nice reversal from yesterday, and that continued on today. We really haven't achieved too much. We've just got back into that grid of 4 8s and 2 8s. Stick to that until you know otherwise. So it's like 43,700 on the top. 40,000 and a half on the bottom, basically. Energy. We got over R3 today for those trading pivots. Look at that, but a really classic level here on the 240. We broke up nicely this morning. We talked about this. So hopefully you guys all got on board that were watching this morning. Nice move. We had API after the number. Big draw on Cushing. That's a lot to do with the year end, right? So don't read too much into that. As far as on the daily, you can see it's just clockwork, this stuff. Nice, very. You can see how it came back down to our Murray math and Tenkan conclusion and moved up nicely. On the weekly, more of the same. We are over that 61.8 at 80.55. Here we are at 81.24. Let's go to natural gas real quick. We've got a continuation of that move as everyone's freezing their backsides off. So, does it keep going? Remember, this is one of those ones you buy the rumour, sell the fact, as Madabi pointed out. Gas is one of those too.
Oh, yeah.
This has to keep going, right, mate? Otherwise, look where we are on overbought, plus 3H48.
Right now, hold on. Get it for you.
And there's, there we go. This is the oil. I just wanted to show that one. It is potentially on the 240. See, that's plus 88 there. So you're in. You got to trade these on the grid. What was that, sorry, man?
Money. Oh, thank you, money.
Okay, we see Madabi's just got someone there came in to visit him from another one of the trading firms.
Well, it's chemo.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Chemo.
What's up, mate?
How you doing, mate? We're just live on there. We were just talking about you earlier.
Yeah, guys, I just wanted my butt in. Woo.
So,
Nice and warm.
He says hi.
All right.
Yep. Good to see. So, actually, in a few weeks, Chemo is going to come live. We're going to talk about the mental toughness of trading and stuff like that. So, everyone look forward to that one. What else have we got to cover, guys? Anything else? Forex. We went through this morning. I don't think there's any new changes there. The dollar got pounded today on those rates. We talked about that earlier this morning. It was already weak before Jerome Powell spoke. Remember, it didn't go up with that jobs number on Friday. Didn't recover, and we saw more of that. Good sell-off on the dollar yen there. The pound was up. Look at that, to new highs. Even the mighty Kiwi, big strong moves there on the Kiwi and the Aussie, both rallied hard. That Aussie dollar very strong today, back over 72. Euro, powerful bounce as well. So you can see across the board, across all currencies, and we'll just look at one more on gold before we get back to talking about the metaverse with Johnny there. Where is it gold? I mentioned gold was up strongly. This is silver, also had silver, it's lagging behind gold there, isn't it, guys? But look at gold, nice big bounce here, and this is a weekly, so we've had held that triangle, and then now this is our fifth week above this Cajun, and we just got above the Tankin. Now, gold's been notoriously for false breaks. We want it to hold on to here and get to the top of the channel, and then we can get some move. Now, here's an outlier. No one's expecting anything here, but if interest rates have done their dash for a while here, we're going to have CPI and PPI, so there's plenty of reason. But if the markets are really short bonds and long dollar, and this has to correct, this could be enough to get gold through here. It's almost 2/3 down that pennant, so it is due. If it's going to break, it's going to do it soon. And there we have it there. Any other charts you want to look at, guys?
If you want to pull up Bitcoin's art with the clouds and
yeah, here's Bitcoin. You wanted to look at it daily, did you?
Let's look at it at least 50-day. It's because it's under the 50-day moving average.
Yeah, so here we are in the 50-day weekly. It's just underneath it, actually. So if it holds here, and so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 waves down. So we should get 3 waves from here. Right? If we can get over this 50, we should get a nice move into. Let's do something here.
If it can't get traction here, it's going to definitely.
Yeah. So that low becomes an issue to the big fella, right? So if it does get a bounce, the 38%'s up here of this move. Let's do all this together. So we want to see what actually prices those are. And we're just going to There we go. That's what I was looking for. Show price. So the 38% move, guys, is 50,835. So that's how far this has fallen. This has fallen from 68,000, nearly 69,000. So in the low yesterday was 39,620. So just a 38% bounce into 58,000. If it breaks all this, then you have to start looking at these other levels, right?
Oh.
Which the bottom of that cloud is like 36,000, right?
So, and if it breaks below that, it could go
it's all
deeper into
over,
the
right?
30s.
Then you got 28,000 is your big one.
Yep.
And then 26, and then... So that would put your whole double top. This is all over. This is your MySpace sort of scenario. All this holds. That's your target. But you would expect some kind of correction here. Whether you believe in Bitcoin or not, or crypto, there's plenty of people in here just for it not to go straight down just yet. If that's the scenario, the real bearish one, you should at least get a correction. So you can out your three waves. So if we were to look at this is 60 minute. Let's go. That's weekly. Let's look at daily. So on daily, it's more telling, I think. You got this low here from September last year. And you got yesterday's low. And you got this one that almost got there. Remember that wipeout when it fell 20% in a day or something? So you got those as support. Underneath that, your next level of support is this red line here, which is 6/8, which is like 37,800 or something. What it needs to get over on the top is this tanking line. See how far we're under the cloud, but we got no reason to be bullish on it other than these spikes, right? Because we're still overbought. That's plus 2.8. We're still overbought. It needs to get over this tanking to get bullish.
You know, it's interesting. As I was watching a clip and reading an article on billionaire investor Bill Miller. He's a famed fund manager. He's now got 50% of his wealth, personal wealth, in Bitcoin, and he's one of these high conviction guys. And he's advocating it now because whatever reason, the money that he's got, he feels that that's the safest place for it to be. So that's just something that's incredible, that a billionaire would put half of his wealth in Bitcoin. And
yeah, I mean, how much has Elon Musk got in him?
I don't know how many.
Well, I put the company's money up, right? I don't think he used it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was personal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge number, right? I'm not familiar with Miller. What's his background? What's his story?
He's a hedge fund guy. He's an investment guy. He's a fund manager. Here, I'll put it, if you want, I'll pull up an article on him and you can put it out there. But he's just one of those really wealthy fund guys that really well, and then he's retired and he's investing along with Warren Buffett and all these other very wealthy guys.
Buffett is in the Bitcoin?
Who?
Did you say Buffett is in the Bitcoin?
No,
Warren
Buffett. So what he talks about in his whole interview is that everybody's got their conviction.
Oh,
and all these other guys, like, but because he looks at Buffett and these guys as kind of like the billionaire club. You know, they're older guys, and he sees something that they don't see, and they'll put their money in their convictions. But whatever it is, he's been totally convicted to invest his money, his personal money, into this, not his client's money. So
I get what you mean. Yeah, that's interesting.
Kind of,
yeah, there are definitely some big players with conviction in it, and I'm kind of, as I said yesterday, I'm keen to see if Jamie Dimon mentions something come Friday in the earnings report, because he's starting to mention it lately, you know, through different avenues. But the way it came back yesterday was pretty pronounced, and you can see the relationship it has with what do you call it? Just pure speculation. We bounced here, yes. Well, let's look at an hourly, so more specific. So when we bounced here, look, this has followed the path of stocks. Not as aggressive. Remember, this used to overshoot. Now it's not really, but these are big moves. This is a $3,000 move. So it is definitely in the basket of speculation now, for whatever reason. So that's a decent move. We should, in coming days, we should start look at some of the others like Ethereum and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Well, not much else from my end, really. Anything else, guys? I think Fed, I'm really happy that I read Jerome Powell pretty well and there was no inside information. I just figured that was my view on what it was going. And I thought the market, when I see people that are real bulls become real bears straight away, on basically some old news, my opinion is more that's a reflection of them being wrong and looking for a reason to justify their wrong. It's more, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of a hate move, if you don't get what I'm getting at. But and sure enough, that changed out. So now we want to see if we develop further, because in reality, we're only 100 handles from an all-time high on the SPOOs. It gives you an idea of the magnitude of the fear that came in, right? That's XLE. Let's have a quick look at what the SPOOs. That's Apple. Where's our SPOOs? 60 minutes. So this is only 100 handles from here. 110, 100. It's 100, right? So for the amount of fear, and Madavi made this point yesterday. We're talking about CNBC now. It's like a bloody game show or something. The way they get so bearish and so bullish. It was the end of the world. We held this. And look how far we are, people, from the all-time high. This is the all-time high right here on an hourly chart, a daily chart. I give you in my opinion, when all this rolls over, they're not the end of the world when it's down 200 points. They're still trying, it's down 600 points. Oh, we're buying it. This is just a better level, That's when I kind of see it happening. But we'll see. It's a tough game. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Not much else to repeat. It's pretty well. We have CPI out tomorrow. Keep an eye on that. Make sure you're booking your profit in these volatile markets because it can do anything. Don't put it all on red or all on green. It's not the market for that. And that's really it. We'll see everyone in the morning. Earnings are starting to... I think Delta's out. Were they out today or are they out tomorrow? But you're starting to get some big earnings. The big one's going to be Friday. And Bill actually did a report on that. That is on the website for Morgan... Well, JP Morgan. Who's the other one? Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and there was Citibank. They're all out on Friday. So they're going to be telling. And what people are going to look for is they got bid up strongly right over the days previous 52-week highs. You're going to be looking for the outlook on the economy. And a couple of them are probably shareholders of the Fed, the conspiracy boys out there. So, well, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Madavi4, Meta Johnny, and Traders.com. Like us, share it. If you got any questions for us, just shoot them and we'll get on it. Have a...
Keep killing it.
Yep, keep killing it.
Always remember, keep killing it.
Exactly.
Please be killing it.
Be killing it. Okay, thanks, guys.